So we're talking about test RoAS. For those of you who don't know every acronym we're going to throw at you, RoAS is return on ad spend. It's an ROI calculation, return on investment, between the revenue generated from a platform and the ad spend of that platform. And we specifically want to say goodbye to platform level RoAS, and we'll get into some careful nuance as well. Before we do introductions, probably helpful to know who trusts us, a handful of clients. And I'll introduce myself. My name is Nick Rajpal. I'm the VP of Marketing Sciences. I've been here for 14 years. I was first brought on to change our business from projects to solutions. So a monthly retainer services. I launched our SEO, Google Ads, conversion testing with Chris, email, Amazon, and forged our strategy team. After that, the entire team grew from about 6 employees to roughly 40. I moved on to just working with clients who wanted to be our client and try to figure out, of all the inputs available that we can learn about their business, how do we take a little bit of information and come up with the best marketing plan? Very difficult to do. Been working on that for years. And in that time, the marketing team went to about 130 plus 25 content writers, 100 data scientists, roughly 270 employees in our ecosystem. And it's been a great ride. And Chris Charlik has been here for most of it alongside. So really happy to be presenting with him today.
Nick, I'm seeing that people aren't seeing the deck.
Thank you. Let's see what's going on here.
There we go.
Okay. Can we get quickly from the questions box? Do you guys see everything now?
There we go.
Awesome. Chris, if you can introduce yourself, please.
Sure. I'm Chris Jarzik. As Nick mentioned, I've been here for a while, since 2010. Ran our A/B split testing program at first for probably about 8 years or so. Launched a lot of A/B split tests on hundreds of different websites. Spearheaded a lot of our work around media mix modeling over the last year and a half. And I'm currently focused on analysis and data tools to help bridge some of this gap that we're talking about today and some of this challenge.
Awesome. And Chris, can we test your mouse? So you can see if you can proceed.
Test my mouse?
Yep, just to see if you can click along. Sorry, folks, you can only do this when we go live. Perfect. All right. Let's talk about moving on from platform level RoAS. So first of all, some plus points for platform level RoAS. First of all, you just very clearly, you go into Google Ads, you see how much ad spend you have, how much revenue you got from Google Ads. That is platform Google Ads level RoAS. So everyone uses it. Why does everyone use it? One, we can kind of do a backwards calculation and figure out whether your return on ad spend is proportionate to margin. You can then look at all your channels one at a time and say, well, this is performing better than that, theoretically, if they are actually giving the right numbers. And then you could also say, I'm doing this well today in a platform versus last year. All fair. Also want to kind of break down what kind of the downside of the reality of it is. It's when you're looking at platform level analytics from which you get this return on ad spend calculation. The analytics that is built into a platform is actually meant for decision making and optimizations in the platform, not across channels. So it's actually built with a deliberate purpose. And if you use it for the wrong purpose, it already starts to obfuscate your the type of evaluations you want to make. So it is not meant for evaluation or holistic attribution, how things are supposed to be distributed. And of course, anyone who has woke up screaming after iOS 14 knows that it is fraught with tracking issues as well. So let's explain the difference between Google Analytics, which is not platform analytics, that's cross-channel analytics, versus Google Ads. So Google Analytics, which is connected to bring in insights for all the channels that are pulling your traffic in and sales. We'll look at a situation like this, where a person searched for a non-branded keyword, they clicked on your Google shopping ad, and then after they clicked on the website, they saw a remarketing ad on Meta, Facebook, Instagram. They came back to the website. Then they kind of knew your name at this point, so they searched for your brand a few days later. They clicked on a branded ad on Google. And then they searched for your brand again. They this time clicked on an SEO result because they didn't want you to pay for that ad over and over again. And when they got there, they signed up to your email list to get a 10% coupon. They went to your email and made a purchase. This is really normal stuff. If the digital footprint for our customers keeps expanding, they go through this kind of haywire customer journey. In Google Analytics, if you set your attribution process, the setting to last click, what will happen is all the traffic for steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 will show that they had no conversion and no revenue value because they were not the last click. Last click in this case is the last channel and gets all the credit. If you use Google Ads position-based, for example, 40% goes to the first click, 40% to the last, 20% to everything in between. Your $100 purchase goes $47,740. What if you're trying to figure out how much Google Ads has produced at that point? Your Google Ads would say something along the lines of $47, which is good when you try to figure out distribution between your efforts on Google Ads, SEO, Meta, and email. It's not a correlation analysis, but there's no double counting. This number should actually add up to your total revenue. In Google Ads, it's different. In Google Ads is only tracking its own impact on a sale, as if there were no other channels involved. So that step 1 and step 3 is what you're going to get counted in Google Ads. If you use last click, they'd say that non-branded Google shopping campaign you paid for was meaningless. It wasn't the last click. Nothing would have happened if that click didn't happen. But because you chose last click, it gets the 0 credit. And when you're doing your bid optimization, you probably want to cut that out because you're informed incorrectly. If you use positions based, again, 40-40 split, 20 to everything else, you see $50 to the top, $50 to the bottom. You'll note that Google Ads is taking $100 worth of credit, not 47. It's sharing no credit with any other channel, which is why this is only supposed to help you make decisions of your distribution of ad dollars within Google Ads. As a Google Ads optimizer, you would want to make sure that you continue to invest in both your brand and your non-brand Google Shopping and not cut either one out because they both helped. To see RoAS is not partial credit. It is meant for something different than evaluating your channels. On top of that, we have a lot of issues that have happened over the entire GDPR to where we are today. Privacy policy changes, including, of course, when Meta changed from their response to iOS, Apple's operating system. Before iOS 14, they felt that it was okay to show the impact of an ad over the next 28 days if it made a sale. Their interpretation of the privacy rules that they were trying to get ahead of before they get penalized with something was that technically and legally they should only do a 7-day window. They are relaxing back on that now. But your historical conversion data that you rely on for return on ad spend, that no longer works. We also realize that return on ad spend at the platform cannot track sales all the way through. And some of the most effective, efficient, and common tactics that are applied to e-com, like show ads on Meta to cold audiences that have the same lifestyle of your audience, have them sign up to email, and then close them through a 10% coupon. That is really hard to track on Meta, especially if it exceeds the 7-day window. What if your Meta inspired people to know your brand? Now they know your brand because they saw your ad. They go to Google because when you click in a Meta ad, you get stuck in this weird in-Meta experience. You're not even on the website. You get frustrated, you leave, you go to Google, you search for the brand, you go there. You go to Amazon. Maybe I can buy on Amazon and have really good shipping policies. But Meta creates a spillover of brand search into Google and Amazon where attribution modeling and platform analytics doesn't do a great job of figuring out either the correlations or even tracking the sale all the way through. As marketers, these are nightmares that we have to live with and that we're trying to solve for. And finally, just in general, think about this. Your paid ads creates a lot of spillover into your owned media. Your Meta, your Google ads, your YouTube, your TikTok, they create activity that forces people to then go to your owned media, your SMS, SEO, email, where they get activated. That finally finishes the sale, and they've helped, and there's some revenue numbers there. Well, if ad spend is creating or catalyzing the activity that is going to owned credit, then shouldn't you be looking at your ad spend's impact, not just on ad spend revenue, but your ad spend impact on ad spend tracked and organic and all of your own revenue as well? Isn't it responsible for more than its own parts? All of this has forced the market to change its understanding of language constraints and to say, I don't mind looking at platform level RoAS if it helps you as a platform specialist figure out some optimizations. You go ahead and do you, but as a business that is engaging in marketing, what I want to know is how much my marketing costs are, what my revenue is, including my owned media revenue, which is inspired by the ad spend, and I want to know what the proportionality is. This total marketing cost divided by total revenue is marketing efficiency ratio, also referred to as TACOS, total advertising cost of sale, although Amazon has really owned that language for quite some time. So when we speak with our enterprise clients, typically our clients are bringing the phrase MER. So we want to try to stick to one. So MER, because it looks at the whole of your ads, your revenue and your ad spend, it doesn't rely on any channel attribution. There's no double counting. It's simple math. It values owned media's contribution, and it's much easier and more accurate to now compare that against your margin. Now, MER is something that we have been embracing for the last 2 to 4 years, depending on which department you talk to, because different departments have been innovating in different ways. But it's forced us to think about, what does this new school of thought do for us? What should we do in response? Does it activate any new way of thinking, modeling, appreciating data? And It really did. What we found is in the MER school of thought, you get to use better ad spend projection tools that use the whole of your data to find correlations. Those are called media mix models. You have a better sense of how customer lifetime value plays a role in your planning. It forced us to think of a new framework for not looking at channels, but looking at all the activity across all channels, but still in distinct ways, where each of these different ways or cohorts has a different purpose and a different metric to look at. It allowed us to think about segmentation across every channel that is in play in your marketing. And it also made us go back to an old playbook that we had, which is margin boosting. If we can now get something that's so much more pure and accurate, like MER, and compare it against your average margin, why not activate higher margin? So we'll get into these 5 tools of the MER playbook. I'm going to pass it first to Chris to talk about media mix model and CLTV. I'll take it back for our VAC segmentation and margin optimization.
Sure. So as Nick's talking about, media mix modeling kind of connects that marketing efficiency ratio and helps overcome some of the shortcomings of individual channel measured RoAS. It is a cross-channel attribution tool through relational over time measurements. So it allows you to make smarter decisions with your advertising budget. So the goal of media mix modeling is to help find that value, and with that value you can forecast. So here our tool starts out with forecasts of what you would make if you spent the last what you spent the last 12 months. It'll show you the next 12 months based off that historical ad spend, and then you can from there measure that TACOS, that marketing efficiency ratio, and you can adjust your inputs of spend into these to see if that increases your revenue and lowers that media efficiency or marketing efficiency, which is really what we're hoping to do. And the way this works is it kind of looks at how things move over time together, when you increased spend in different channels, when you lowered it, and how that reacted with your revenue over time. It counts for seasonality in this as well. So the main part of this is that channel spend opportunities plot down at the bottom, and that is kind of what makes media mix work. And that gives you think of it as like a third-party check of value for your individual channel marketing activities. This is a high-level macro view that works well for owners, directors, C-suite, trying to manage budget across channels, and allows you to kind of make decisions as it changes on an ongoing basis. So this graph we're looking at down here says that product ads is worth 12 times as much as paid social. And if we see that, we might want to reallocate some budget over into product ads and see how that performs next month. So knowing which channels are worth more than others helps you make smarter decisions with your budget. And that's really what media mix modeling is all about. And it's become more relevant due to some of these individual channel RoAS challenges as Nick outlined. So with this information, you can make smarter budget allocations. You can forecast with our tool up to 12 months out. But really looking at this on a monthly or quarterly basis for planning, putting together an outline of what you want to do allows you to test different budgets and see how those react on a month-to-month or quarter-to-quarter basis. And that's the value of our tool. Another tool that helps us with this is customer lifetime value. And it's a different view in the sense that it's more of an attribution of value on a customer level than on a channel level. So media mix is helping with your channels. Customer lifetime value is helping by assigning a value to a customer over a period of time. And those timeframes can change. You can look at last month, last 3 months, last 6 months, 1, 2, 3 year cohorts. and it allows you to kind of see what's going on with what makes sense most for your business. Some businesses have longer repeat purchase rates, the things that people don't buy on a monthly basis, other things people buy regularly, such as supplements, certain medications, etc. So how you look at customer lifetime value through these cohorts can change, but it allows you to kind of pick and choose what best fits for you. You can also segment the report in a variety of ways by source, medium, by product, by brand, by type of customer. So there are options here for you to kind of drill into things that you care about. You can use this knowledge to set goals. So if you know how much a customer is worth to you over time, you know what you're willing to spend in order to acquire a customer. So our tool does allow you to set a profit margin based off that customer lifetime value calculation, and then you'll get a CPA that you can choose from there. Or you can set the CPA, and then it'll kind of give you an estimate of that margin based off all of this as well. So our tool is here to help you understand how much you want to spend to acquire a customer. And then from there, you can see over time, how your new customers each month change, total customers, and kind of monitor as you go along. So similar to media mix modeling, looking at this every month or quarter to see how things are changing, which cohorts are stronger, how are we trending. It's an ongoing measurement over time of how things are going. But these are two tools that let you focus on budgeting by channel and marketing activity, but also look at this from a customer perspective. So two different ways of looking at this, and in different stores we work with value one or lean on one more than the other, and how you want to look at it for your business is up to you. I'll pass it back over to Nick.
Awesome. Yeah, Chris, thanks for all the work that you guys have been doing on the data insights and strategy side. My favorite part about the media mix model is, as you were saying, once you get the coefficients of each channel, you can rerun a new scenario in the tool that gives you a new forecast. It's pretty simple and powerful, real time, and available to clients. And the reason we brought customer lifetime value in to this conversation is median marketing efficiency ratio still does look at a short period of time. You're trying to have a particular period performance looked at, you have a better sense of the impact of a customer over the next 30, 60, 90. It may influence your understanding of what the ideal MER target is, which is awesome. And that's one of, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I agree. It helps you, it's almost like triangulating kind of where you are and where you need to lean. And that's kind of the idea of using multiple tools here.
Yeah, and keep in mind, as everyone knows, if you increase your target, like if your marketing efficiency ratio objective goes up a little because you've eased your margins, your CLV better, you're going to grow faster. The slightly less efficient you need to be, the much faster you can grow. But it's this kind of a lens that we've been looking for a while. And I want to introduce what we call the virtuous activity cycle. It's something that everyone can use in their marketing, but I want to kind of give some history as to why we came up with this framework and what it looks like. So going back to a milestone in marketing, advertising has changed to marketing over time. Early advertising marketing, there was a editor for a marketing publication named E. St. Elmo Lewis. And in 1898, he came up with a formula for marketing, actually content writing specifically, which is the crux of marketing at the time. And he said, you can't just have a write-up for something that builds awareness and then asks for the action. There are typically some different activities that people are going to go through to matriculate them from call to awareness all the way to the final action. And his first bit of science for marketing ever, was it goes from awareness to interest to desire to action. Over the course of the next 124 years, a new model has kind of taken place. It's what a lot of us refer to as the funnel, the marketing funnel. Awareness still. That's, cold targeting, consideration, people who are actually looking in your category, conversion, people who are now looking at you and they haven't bought from you before, loyalty, they're buying from you again, and advocacy. Now they're so gung-ho about you, they're telling everyone. Well, first of all, there's a lot of reasons to think that this doesn't make sense either. It's like platform RoAS. It's good, but it's also kind of flawed. It's rare that the experience is just this linear and this simple. And doesn't advocacy kind of get more awareness from one person to another? So isn't it kind of more circular than it is just ending at a funnel? With all the iOS 14 and privacy policy changes, it's not like we can actually track someone from one stage to another. So we'll be looking at this as an individual's customer journey. There's no pixels, no business objects. And also, if we only think about this as a customer journey, a single customer journey, it's a little bit too much in the weeds. That challenges us to think, well, there's a lot of merit in this. These 5 different types of activities, tons of merit. That's why it's evolved over 124 years. But what if we didn't look at it as a customer journey, but instead we looked at it as 5 distinct driving forces of your business? That at any given time, you can measure how many people are finding out about you, the quantity of those people finding out about you, and the quality of their response to your marketing and awareness. And similarly, you can measure the quantity and quality of people finding you in Google shopping search for a non-brand. You can look at the quantity and quality of people who are engaging with you from post-click till first purchase. That's conversion activity. There's activity happening with past customers. An activity of us asking for likes and shares and reviews, that's advocacy. If we can harness the aggregate of these 5 driving forces that virtuously support each other, and we can invest marketing into furthering all 5, we're more diversified, we're healthier, we're spinning our flywheel, and we're not stuck in one customer journey, even though we're influenced by the concept. So we went ahead and we built around this. Across every client, across every channel, every single campaign has been tagged. This is for awareness or consideration or conversion or loyalty. And it's allowed us now for the first time to look at all channels, cross-channel, channel agnostic, everything, all the ad spend going to awareness, consideration, conversion, and loyalty. And actually start to look at not platform level return on ad spend, but the ad spend of these driving forces. We can kind of routinely go back and say, here's the investment level we want for each of these 5 forces. Here's the return on ad spend, channel agnostic target that we want for each. We always want conversion and loyalty to overperform. And as long as they're overperforming, we can then go ahead and fuel it with a lot of awareness and consideration. Keep in mind, advocacy is just going to virtuously support everything. Getting ahead of this was challenging. We had to make sure we were clear on delineations. Awareness, consideration, conversion, loyalty is cold, search intent, but non-branded. Searching for your brand or a past visitor or a past customer. Delineations have to be crystal clear across every channel. But then we realized we can't just go to every business and say, the formula is 60% awareness, 30% consideration, et cetera, et cetera. We had to start thinking about what makes one e-com business different from the next. And we did a lot of testing. Is it B2B versus B2C? Nope. Is it resellers versus manufacturers? Nope. They can have a lot in common. Is it by industry? No. Repeat purchase rate? No. Average order value? No. The only place where we found that one group should have one treatment and the other group should have the other treatment of distribution of awareness, consideration, conversion was based on whether a customer magically acts different when they know your brand. So think about this. If a customer has engaged with your website because they searched for your category, they saw that you sell into that category, and they buy, and they never had to go learn more about you on Meta or start to search for your name or show that their behavior is different, we call that search-based journey. But there are a lot of businesses where we look at the data, we see over 50% of Google Ads is coming from a brand search. Return visitors convert 2x higher than first purchase or first visits. Over 10% of traffic is coming from Facebook ads. Those are brand-based journeys. Here's some other things we find out. Are your competitors very active in social? If so, you're probably in a brand-based journey. Everyone's figured out there's a benefit to branding. How aggressively do they protect their brand in search ads? If it's aggressive, it's probably a brand-based journey. Or if they're aggressive in non-branded discovery, then you're probably search-based. And if we see, when we look at the search trends of brands and your competitors over time, if sometimes some brands get a huge surge in search, that means your market is probably brand-based. And we do all these tests, like let's look at SEMrush data, you versus your competitors. If there's not a lot of organic overlap, then it's probably brand-based because people are optimizing around their brand terms. Paid search should probably have very little overlap, but still in shopping we'd see overlap. This is the typical view we see for a brand-based. For search-based, we see that the organic overlap is tight. The paid search overlap is still somewhat disparate, but the product ads overlap is almost entirely Venn diagram complete. When we know what kind of business you're running and what your customer's journey is, we then get to think about what the treatment should be for your channel mix. If you're a search-based journey and your brand really doesn't matter to your customers, then you could do the easy stuff. If all you need to do is show up for transactional terms and close those sales, just focus on consideration and conversion. But if you want to grow faster than everyone else, you want to invest in things that are less efficient, including a little bit of awareness, a little bit more focus on your past customers. For brand, we first focus on awareness. Consideration is not as important. It's awareness and then closing those sales and getting them back for more purchases. So awareness, conversion, and loyalty. If you want to go into high growth, medium efficiency, you start to also do things that are less efficient. And when you start to get into this process, you start to realize every channel, every tactic can be mapped using some kind of process to what is awareness, what is consideration, what is a low level, a medium level, and a high level. Luckily, we've gone through the process and it's been really fascinating. A few checks have helped us say, well, here are all the channels we may want to invest in, but just a quick rubric allows us to double check whether the channel actually fits our business. By the way, everyone's going to get a copy of this presentation, a PDF and a recording, so you don't need to take notes too quickly, but you will get this kind of for your own workflows. We want to get a sense of, when you think about your business and your customers, do you think that your customers care so much about knowing your brand that when they finally know the brand, they start to act really different? Or does that not matter and you're search-based? Typically, we see about 70% of e-com is search-based and about 30% is brand-based. Let's see in this group what the distribution looks like. Again, search-based is much more transactional. People are so hot to buy. They only need to know your name for the moment that they make a purchase. They probably forget about you by the time they receive the package. In a brand base, there's a true affinity towards your brand that drives this purchase and future purchases, and it means a lot to your customers. So we'll close this out in 3, 2, 1. This is fascinating. We've done this poll a few times over the past 12 months, and this is the most even split we've ever seen. 40% believe your business and your customers are search-based, and an equal amount believe that they are very sensitive to your brand, and they have this magical moment where they start to act different once they know your brand. If your customers act different when they know your brand, just think about the implications. That means it's our job as marketers to make sure everyone knows your brand. And if it doesn't matter, then we don't need to worry about that part. It changes the entire formula. In the MER school of thought, because now you're looking at a larger group of activities and finding the best way to cut things up. Sure, you can cut things up by awareness, consideration, conversion, loyalty, and advocacy, but why not also cut things up by your core segments? Marketing, after all, is trying to give what your customers need. And there's been hyper-segmentation. We're in the era of hyper-segmentation now. But because of privacy changes and the way platforms have changed, we can go back to embrace segmentation, which is in a combination of hyper-segmentation and personalization. With segmentation, you get the best results. So why? Why are we thinking about this? Well, we couldn't think about it before. The capabilities didn't exist before. You can only do one-to-one marketing in most of Google Ads or email marketing or Meta in the past. But the platforms have given us a new way of looking at things. For example, for Performance Max, what does a Performance Max ad campaign look like? You choose your intent signals, that's your audience. You have messages that you think fit those customers, and you populate the products that you think fit those customers. It is a segmentation-based tool. It is the future of Google Ads. It is everything pretty much in Google Ads now for shopping. And it's based on who do you target, what's your message, what's your products. Klaviyo has created a system where you can choose rules around segment, and that segment can now be marketed to using email, SMS, and Meta. You add someone to the segment, you take them out, all those 3 channels are impacted by that segment. Amazon Display has given us 4 targeting options, from life cycle, lifestyle, to life events. And we can use those now to create segmentation and different treatments of which product or which message. So if it's possible now, we can embrace it. Anyone can do this again. We're getting ahead of it because it's meaningful to us, and we think it's part of the framework that we want to be involved in for the next 5-10 years. So what we've gone through with clients is a process. Let's figure out your top 2 to 3 segments. Let's give them a name, segment 1, 2, 3, and then give them a name. Let's figure out a description for them. Let's imagine what the right customer journey is for them. And when we do this, we get a lot of great benefits. First of all, we can actually finally see the size and performance level of segment 1 versus 2 versus 3. Maybe one small segment is overperforming by so much, it deserves to be scaled. We can also fine-tune custom intent signals in Meta, all the audience targeting layers in Google and Amazon, eliminate the noise down to the core segment. And now when you actually have a segment that is large enough, you can start to tag all your campaigns. This is my segment 1, treatment A, segment 1, treatment B. All the work that Chris did in A/B testing now applied to every single channel, on-site and off-site. So we can figure out how to get the highest performance per segment. And if your competitors can't figure it out, then you are going to be the dominant player. when we start to map out these different segments, we also go through a process that we've been going through for the last 12 years. Chris and I have done modality mapping for clients since 2010. It's an old science. It's so old, it was created by the ancient Egyptians. It was codified by Hippocrates in 460 BC into a science called humoral sciences. And the idea is that in us, we have 4 different ways of acting to make any decision. Sometimes we're in competitive modalities. We're like, I'm going to do something that makes me special. Or I'm making a decision that I really can't make on my own, so someone help me. That's social. I have my method to making this purchase. Show me the details that I need to know. That's methodical. Or I'm feeling like having fun today. Give me a good deal. Maybe I'll make a decision. That's spontaneous. For each segment, you might end up having a different modality. And luckily, we started to figure out a lot of these different things, like what leads to a competitive modality, premium price, preservations, and brand guidelines. What is good for a spontaneous modality? It's exciting. It's a gimmicky. Social. There's a learning curve. Walk me up it, please. Methodical. My concerns are technical. Last thing we're going to cover under the MER school of thought before we take questions is margin optimization. If your MER target is proportionate to your average margin, then how the heck can we get your margin up? We started investigating this type of thinking over 5 years ago. And we had an opportunity where we already were building these big data warehouses for every one of our clients, where we have all the data from Google Ads, Analytics, Search Console, SEMrush, Meta, Pinterest, TikTok, Amazon, all going into one system where all the data for one product from all systems connected, for one keyword connected. And we thought, wouldn't it be nice to also have some business data in here? Like, what are our top sellers? What is the cost of each of these products so we can calculate margin? We started to organize that data and then populate it through a feed. And the feed took on this amazing nature. We could say, based on the ads data and analytics data, tell me which are our top sellers. Okay, and then in a feed label, it starts to show up. Tell me which products we're the cheapest on. That's when we use our competitive price intelligence tool. Tell me which products are gateways. They bring in new customers. Which ones are cross-sells? And finally, tell me the margin of every single product that I have. So that now I can ask Google Ads to spend more on high margin. And for every one of our clients, we can populate this label. And what's really cool is you then get to go into a report called our feed label report and click to the feed label that it is. In this case, it was feed label 1 for this particular client. And you can see all the products that are 30%, 40%, 67%. And you can look in this data. This is actually real data. For this client, there are 20 products in the 67% margin cohort. In this period of time, it experienced 150 conversions. We spent $2,000 to make 16,000. Keep in mind, we get to keep 67% of that 16,000. So this particular client is netting 54 points of margin after ACOS, after MER, on this particular cohort. And the data is right at the fingertips. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, we'll take questions. But I also want to ask everyone here, if this is opening your mind to a totally different way of thinking, let us try to figure out if we can do something for you. Again, what makes us different is, first, we've built all of this thinking into our holistic technology. It is built around ways for our strategy team to make decisions around investments for awareness, consideration, conversion, investments around segment, and to use the modeling from media mix model, CLV, to recommend ad spend increases. And then all that gets executed by specialists or career specialists in their field. Google Ads only, SEO only, conversion testing only. But they're also meta tagging all this data in a way that the strategy team can make decisions. And if you are interested in what our plan might be for you to bring you into our exclusive and MER School of Thought, what we will do is we'll sit down and learn your business, all your goals, your competitors, your challenges, the inputs that will help us figure out your brand versus search and your channel mix. And then offline, we will go through a full channel mix planning process like we would do for any client and give you full recommendations. Here are the channels. Here's your ideal distribution from awareness, consideration, conversion, loyalty. Here's the segmentation strategy we think would work well for you. Here's the 3 segments that we think are meaningful, your description, products that map to them, etc. And we'll talk about what your team structure will be. We'll show you examples of our reporting. We'll give you line itemized pricing. We won't leave anything to mystery. We don't charge for this process, but we like to go through the whole process with anyone who is potentially going to be our client. My colleague Liam and myself will take on all of these requests directly. So about 50% of you I'll be meeting with directly, and I look forward to it. We're going to keep this up as we take a quick look at the questions box. And I do have another question for you guys for the questions box. Has this helped in any way to see your marketing in a different lens? Like, do you see how MER is not just a lofty or, theoretical approach, but it's actually really practical? How many people work at your agency? Daniel, we have, on our data science team, we have over 100 employees. They also go by another name, kind of a sister brand called Grow by Data. That's a group of about 100 employees. There's about 25 content writers. They're full-time content writers. So that brings us to 125. And the rest of our employees are marketers. That brings us up to about 270 employees total. Okay, are you able to use offline conversions? From Brendan, great question. Absolutely. We want to use more and more with a great partnership with CallRail. But Performance Max specifically unlocks a lot of scale potential when you use offline conversions. So now is the right time. If you're not using offline, making that transition has never been more important to your bottom line.
And I think Brendan's question was in relation to media mix. I think when it came up, we can incorporate that into media mix modeling. We do out of the box right now. We do not obviously have access to your backend to plug in, but we can work with you on that. So if that's something you are interested in, just let us know as you're talking to us.
Great. Daniel, you're asking another question. Where are you based, and are you using overseas resources within a 100-person data team? Our entire data team is in a office that we built from foundation. We built the entire office building right before the big Nepal earthquake, actually. Every one of those employees is employed by us, so it is overseas resources, yes. Most of our management team there did their studies abroad in the US. But yeah, that's the data science team, and the rest are in the US. So all the marketing team and content writers are all US based. Daniel, how do you determine the following? Impressions by activity, impressions by segment, ad spend by activity, ad spend by segment. Whew, really great questions. And much of it is based on what we can benchmark as your current performance. Impressions, though, are more important to us in the awareness side. Awareness has certain KPIs that are very meaningful. Impressions, click-through rate, and video views. Impressions start to take less of an importance when we start to get into activities around loyalty and conversion, for example. So we do set different KPIs by activity. The segments that are either most strategic to you, highest margin or highest performing, get the most liberal targeting when it comes to ad spend and performance targets. But once you are able to clearly sequester these groups, it's easier to start setting different targets that are cognizant of your finance, but also aware of their own performance. Yeah, the sooner you can benchmark, the sooner you can set those goals. Chris, any questions specific that you want to take next?
Yeah, I think to that point, a lot of this question in tagging is just in the campaigns themselves, so that we can measure how things are going, and so we can identify these different parts of the VAC in the campaigns themselves and the name, and then we can use our filtering to get those into the right buckets for you. So that allows us to see different impressions, clicks for these different channels, and those are very helpful for us to see kind of as they're going up and down relationally. Again, how is that impacting your bottom line sales?
Yep.
So I think
Can I just add? I'll just add to that. If you are an existing client, which I'm not sure if that's part of what you're asking, every single campaign is tagged using just a bracket tagging system in the campaigns. So it either says awareness, conversion consideration, or loyalty. And then we aggregate based on that campaign level tag. And then for segments, we use a simple approach, SO1, SO2, SO3, SO1A, SO1B, etc. Once every campaign is tagged, is the aggregate of anything that fits that filter.
And then Kendall asks about data modeling across marketing channels as useful for companies that make the most of their revenue in store. So yeah, we can help with that. It is right now, again, out of the box, our tools are built more for online measurements of performance, but the same approaches would apply for your business. It would just be a question of getting the right data needed to start running some modeling there. So it is an option, but we would just need to find ways of getting that data into the hands to kind of figure that out for you, and to understand what else you're doing from marketing, not just online, but if majority of that revenue is coming from offline, what are the other marketing channels that are influencing that as well?
Jennifer's the other question: is there a target MER or TACOS rate we should strive to achieve? What percentage of revenue should we be spending on marketing? So, great question. I had this question asked of me recently, and I went through a little bit of a deep dive, and it looks like the pocket is somewhere typically around 5 to 20%, which I know is a big range, but for resellers where your margins are slim in the 10 to 25% range, you've got to keep your MER as low as possible. And for manufacturers who might enjoy a margin in the 60 to 85% range, having an MER closer to 15, 20% is probably a good way to make sure that you are growing while still staying very profitable. But that's roughly the pocket that I've seen. Chris, anything to add to that you've seen on your side?
I think that's It sounds like a wide range, but I think it's accurate. I think it depends on the industry. It depends on the products you're selling. It depends on the size of your business. So we see stores that are smaller typically have more costs associated with marketing than stores that are larger. And that's just because they've grown their business and kind of created that brand awareness already. So if you're new and smaller, we see that marketing efficiency ratio higher in that 25, 30, sometimes 40% range, which is profitable for manufacturers. If you are more established in a larger business, we can see that drop down into a range of 5 to 10%. And again, that changes depending on whether you're in apparel, whether you're selling couches online. So industry matters and size of your business matters. But for the most part, the larger you are, we see that efficiency start to drop. And if you are starting your business and newer or smaller and pushing forward, then we do see those marketing costs tend to be a little bit higher for a lot of those stores.
Awesome. Susie, you got a great question here. Do you go through the same process for creating a plan proposal for startups? The answer is yes. So we typically do this. First, we want to look at your competitors and your own business to try to look for signals that either tell us you are brand-based or a search-based journey, your customers are brand-based or search-based. That helps. If we find that there are no alphas in your market, people that are investing in things that are less efficient, that could help them grow, then we would probably even recommend that a startup tries to go into marketing for the fastest growth possible, medium efficiency. If instead we find that there are some real players in this market that have established themselves, are willing to invest in less efficient, high volume activities, then first thing we want to do is get you to start being a player in the market. So instead of an alpha distribution investment, we'd start off with a standard distribution. Why? Because the standard distribution is high efficiency, medium growth, but the efficiency is healthy enough that your business will survive the first few moments of a startup. If we can get you past that gazelle's point, then we can start thinking about high growth, medium efficiency. But for starters, we just want you to have sustainable income. Are there any other questions here? These are great questions, guys. Thank you so much. Is your service still applicable with MRR subscription-based services with a few upsells? I just need a little bit more detail on that, if you don't mind, Susie. Not just because I don't entirely understand the question. My apologies, but MRR means something very different to us. Can you maybe expand on that? Jeff's asking, hey Jeff, by the way, competitor price comparison. What if the items are similar but not exact matches? So if we use competitive price intelligence, our tool will look at the look of a product, the search queries related to the product, and we will do a matching process where someone on our team is manually approving what similar products are similar enough to be considered matches. And basically our team gets to look at some data on possible matches when we choose them using visual comparison and the amount of keyword overlap and image overlap. So when we set up CPI, competitive price intelligence for any client, we go through a pretty streamlined, semi-automated process that allows us to still manually apply some discernment on which products are truly comparative. You have one product, which is vocal coaching online. I could use that. I have a paralyzed vocal cord. So Susie, maybe I'd like to talk to you. Exercise and live events, upsells would be cohort coaching, private one-to-one sessions on live events, tour ticket sales. Yeah, this I mean, first of all, um, segmentation, the VAC, these are related to marketing in general. They are the greatest, most long-term points of wisdom in marketing. Um, they just haven't been brought to digital marketing the right way. So agencies like ours have been challenged with trying to figure out how the greatness of segmentation can finally be packaged in a cross-channel way, or the wisdom of 5,000 years of modalities can be brought into. So yeah, it could be a good fit, pretty much agnostic again. Anything that has a commerce function to it. Folks, we're 2 minutes over. 60% of you asked for a meeting with us. Thanks. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, folks. Hope holiday season's great. Hope you destroyed all your goals on BFCM. Hope you finished all your shopping for your family, and hope you set aside some time to take a break. Chris, thank you so much for your time and all your hard work that made it something we could share with the world today.
Of course. Thank you, Nick. Glad to join.
Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.